Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us at the Pando premiere. Excited for us to be able to premiere these Pando days for 2023 with our wonderful group of folks that we have in the room, as well as our guest judges, to be able to give some feedback and help you better set yourself up for success with this project as well. So first off, I'm Matthew Manos, and I'm really excited to be co-host with Eugene Shirley of the Pando Days 23 premieres. You can check out the Pando Days 23 webpage to see the premiere week schedule for all 16 projects as well. I did hear that we got off to a really good start last week with 2 project premieres from Art Center College of Design, which is actually one of my alma maters as well. And today we're being able to hear from Citrus College in Glendora. This is their first Pando Days submission, and we're just delighted to have them joining with us and making this program that helps implement Los Angeles County's sustainability plan possible. I myself developed a Pando Days project for USC in the first season, which was 4 years ago. And so it's really fun to be able to be on this other side and see for myself what the schools in the 2023 season have been up to. So as a reminder, as you can tell, we're recording. All 16 premiere events are going to be recorded. These materials, along with the recordings and any other materials from your project, will be posted on a rolling basis to each team's dedicated webpage on the Pando website. These recordings are then judged by a distinguished panel of specialists in the first quarter of the new year. And then on April 14th, we will gather the right people from across the whole of LA County to honor some of the best of these initiatives and help move them forward, as many of them as possible. It's the Pando Sustainability Awards at Caltech. So let's get this show underway with the Citrus College presentation. The team has 15 minutes, although we're going to be moving most of that into Q&A. We're going to be able to have a video that will present the work also. The Citrus College team is organized under the Architecture Club and is led by instructor Tommy Reyes. As I understand it, the insight for this project comes in part from the massive solar energy complex many of you may have seen on the California-Nevada border, and in part from Archimedes' death ray from the 3rd century BC. So I would say that those are 2 pretty interesting points of inspiration to start a project with, but I'll let the team tell you exactly how they're balancing between these 2 inventions. So Tommy, anything that has more than 2,000 years of technological development behind it is obviously of interest to me, and I think to many people in the room as well. We can't wait to learn a little bit more about what you've been up to. So let's cue up that video, and then we'll transition into some feedback.
We are the Architecture Club at Citrus College. The project that we will be presenting is inspired by the Archimedes death ray and the heliostat on the border of California and Nevada. The solar Stirling engine power generator was conceived from a few principles. Archimedes' death ray was hypothesized in 213 through 212 AD. The idea was to use enough mirrors and to create a focal point towards the side of a Roman ship and instantly burn a hole in the ship. The execution turned out only to catch the ships on fire. Though the death ray was unsuccessful, the idea of concentrating the power of the sun continues. Currently, in the state of California, we use this concentration of the sun power to power 250,000 homes using a heliostat. The heliostat uses an array of mirrors to concentrate the rays of the sun onto the top of a tower where water is boiled to rotate turbines. These turbines are then used to create endless supply of clean electricity.
Our current problem is California aims to have all its citizens get off of fossil fuels by 2035. The switch of all our appliances, cars, and other machinery used to make life easier will be taxing on our electrical grid. Our idea will help with the clean production of electricity at the local level. This project aims to help alleviate the strain on the grid once the state begins to switch. Solar photovoltaic cells are expensive. The average home would need to spend anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 to have solar panels installed. Our project aims to cut the cost of self-sustaining production of electricity at 90% to 85% of the cost of a photovoltaic system. With the rising cost of living, a solar Stirling engine power generator coupled with a power storage system would alleviate the average consumer's electrical monthly cost. The project aims to use the energy from the sun to concentrate the rays of the sun and, much like the heliostat, convert it into usable energy for the everyday household. The inspiration of this project is from the heliostat located at the base of Clark Mountain in San Bernardino County, California. Our idea aims to scale down this tech so it can be used in the backyards of every home. We aim to scale down the heliostat to the size of a typical TV satellite dish seen on roofs. We will use a Stirling engine and a parabolic dish as the heat source for the Stirling engine. The Stirling engine will provide the energy needed to turn a generator. The generator will be connected to a power inverter and then connected to the home electrical circuitry. A solar-powered Stirling engine is a device that harnesses solar energy to produce mechanical work. It employs a closed-loop thermodynamic cycle with a sealed cylinder containing two pistons, one at the hot end and one at the cold end. Sunlight is focused onto the hot end using a parabolic mirror, heating the gas inside, causing it to expand and push the piston. The gas then loses heat to the surroundings, contracts, and pulls the cold side piston back, resulting in a back and forth motion. This reciprocating motion can be utilized for generating electricity or powering mechanical devices, making solar-powered Stirling engines efficient and versatile. This is a prototype of our Stirling engine.
We will be using a generator to convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. The mechanical energy can be obtained from multiple sources. Some of those sources would include wind, water, or solar energy. In this case, we will be using solar energy. A power inverter is a device that we will use in order to convert DC power to AC power. AC power is the energy that is supplied to your home by the conventional power grid, and it is used to power all the electrical devices in your home. Power refers to the unidirectional flow of electrons and is the form of power that is most commonly produced by sources such as solar cells and batteries. We plan to use materials such as stainless steel and iron due to their respective melting points being high, with 2,750 degrees Fahrenheit being for stainless steel and 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit for iron, which will be able to withstand the sun's concentrated heat for the Stirling engine to function correctly. Preliminary design includes a ball joint fixed on the bottom of the mount, would make adjusting the mount and dish very easy while keeping them secure. A solar cell could be used to follow the trajectory of the sun, and upon sunset, reset the trajectory of the dish. This would make maximizing sunlight intake very easy. However, it still needs to be engineered. Here we have a chart of the yearly forecast of SoCal. On average, half the year is clear skies.
Patent and business plan. We believe a patent will be necessary for our product. We're going to be applying for more patents in the near future. However, to fully understand what a patent is, we asked attorney James Dunlap how we can protect our intellectual property. We will be going to the University of Laverne's business program to get help with the business plan for our final product. We reached out to Megan Anderson of Chirp Solar Works to discuss a meeting about creating a startup. Currently, we are awaiting a response. Here is our initial attempt at creating the model for our Stirling engine, as well as here, we are finalizing the model for the engine. This is our Stirling engine being powered by the sun through a reflective dish. proving our prototype works. Improvements from engineering will help finalize our design. Overall, this concludes our presentation, and thank you all for listening.
Wow, wonderful presentation. I love being able to see, not only this level of prototyping, but the level of thought process documentation as well, and seeing all of the points of inspiration that can lead to this. So super, super cool. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to turn it to our experts to see what they think. We're going to be using some time for discussion. We've got a couple of really great experts here with us today, Chris Rhee and Richard Haskell. And you really couldn't ask for a better duo here, because we've got multiple sides of this project and of these interests covered between the two of them, with Chris being an engineer who actually is the one that sat down and put pen to paper on this LA County sustainability plan that all of these projects are contributing to and inspired by. And Chris now owns his own consulting firm as well. And then Richard, who's professor of physics emeritus at Harvey Mudd College in Claremont and head of its Center for Environmental Studies. One of last season's winning Pando Day submissions actually came from a team that Richard had led as well, dealing with solar panels, solar panel production in particular. And that was developed by Harvey Mudd, Pomona College, and Cal Poly Pomona. So Richard and Chris, thank you both so much for being with us today. Richard, perhaps we start with you. If you could give us a little bit of a better sense of the technology that this team is working with based on your experience, and what you think could be really helpful to be thinking about at this stage, or other important elements that come to your mind.
Yeah, sure. Hello, team. I just thought I'd start with a comment. I just think that the concept and the potential impact of the project is really notable. I found it rather exciting. The Stirling engine has received a lot of concentration, a lot of focus in the past, particularly with respect to solar energy. And I just want to make sure that the team is aware of the work done by Sandia National Labs. It's really at their Albuquerque site, and it's ongoing. But if you just go to the Sandia National Labs website and just punch in Stirling engine, you'll get some interesting background stuff. And this is all done maybe in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, but still ongoing. So I think you may just stumble across some interesting pieces of information. But really, to jump right to the work of the team, I wanted to ask a quick question, and I'll just turn it over to Chris, and we'll just go back and forth, I think, with the questions. If we could go to the image of the prototype, I think it was the first one that the team showed, maybe halfway through the slides. It was towards the end, and I want to point out. So that was it right there. That's perfect. So you can sort of see the long tube pointing to the right, and at the end of it are some particles in that sort of glass tube. And I just want to make sure I understand what material the team is using to absorb. I think that's the place where the solar heat, whole solar arrays are focused, and they're heating that up. And that's going to heat up the gas, which I think is air, just nitrogen and oxygen. But is that iron shavings, or is that carbon? I was just, can you help me out with that, team?
That is steel wool in there.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And air, is the working fluid just N2O2?
Yeah, it's just air.
Okay. So do you want to just point out, I think for the general audience, this went by pretty quickly. And I think if you just point out where that working area, can you put a cursor on it? I mean, a little pointer or something? I guess you can point it out on your screen, whether we can. Oh, very good. There it is. Yes. If you can point out just where the working pieces are, I think where the piston is, for example, going back and forth.
I don't know if you could see my mouse, but the piston is going to be at the end of the tube, not the side that's getting heated up, but the other side, the other end.
Yes, yes, yes. So that goes back and forth. I mean, as the air expands on the right side of it, that pushes it to the left, and then the air cools down, and so that pushes it back the other way, and that the oscillation is what you were showing at the very end, I think, which was, by the way, impressive. I mean, you actually had a demonstration, a working demonstration of the whole thing. That was impressive. Very nice. Okay,
Thank you.
Chris, do you want to jump in?
Sure, absolutely. And before I do, I just want to thank Pando for having me on again. It's wonderful to be a reviewer here. I always find these opportunities so inspiring and refreshing to hear about new ideas and meet new folks who are coming into Pando for the first time. So thank you again for having me here. Excuse me while I clear my throat for just a second. We can edit that out in post. One thing that I wanted to raise is that whenever we are thinking about energy generation, there's trade-offs no matter what, whether it is burning wood, whether it is using fossil fuels to turn a turbine, or even with concentrated solar thermal. So the Ivanpah power generating station that you showed, it's really impressive and really inspiring, certainly visually, but it's also had an impact on the desert tortoise, on bird populations as well. And this is kind of the reality of what we need to grapple with when we are making the transition to renewable energy. That's not to say that we shouldn't do it, but be mindful that everything has trade-offs. And so what I wanted to ask about was really what inspired this team to concentrate on the Stirling dish engine, and what do you see as the key advantages relative to other forms of power generation, and what are some of the trade-offs, or what are the things that you need to take into consideration when thinking about the real-world application?
So sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't apologize. So for us, when it came to doing this project, we saw it as an opportunity for not only the community, but students as well. So we wanted to be able to bring that to our reality of how this could help us out with our future. So that's one of the main reasons why this was so important. Also to get our group together and have us work on this. Anna, if you want to speak, you can.
We were very inspired by the heat in SoCal, and by everybody switching to electricity over we have to switch over, and we're very interested in lowering the cost of more sustainable electricity generating. Yeah.
All right, terrific. Yeah, I think, one thing that stands out to me and that I think you may consider is just, I'm also an urban planner by training. So we think about the usage of land and how much land it might take, or roof space, or something to that effect. I'm wondering if you have an idea about what that might look like if we were to introduce it into an urban environment. Or maybe Richard, you have some ideas about the space requirements.
But, Chris, I was just about to ask essentially the same thing. But so I would couch it in, I'm sure the team has thought about this, and I just want to sort of squeeze it out of them, what they're really thinking in terms of scaling this up to, a single family home, and, what it would take to power a single family home. For example, a 5 kilowatt capacity system for solar is sort of typical. It may not be entirely adequate for most single family homes, but 5 kilowatts is a nice even round number. And I'm just wondering if the team has thought about how much, how big a dish. I mean, the team clearly thought about the dish. You didn't give any dimension of the typical a dish on a roof, but there's the dish supplying the solar power, and then there's the Stirling engine. Do you see hurdles that you have to overcome, or do you feel pretty comfortable that scaling it up wouldn't have any showstoppers for you?
I believe that we are still in the works with that, discovering that. However, we consider using it on a pole and not mounted on the roof because of the high temperature, as well as when it comes to scaling. We would still have to decide on that. Overall, we do have a prototype, just showing it works. But I guess some problems that would be bringing it into the real world would be if we do have it on a larger scale, how much noise it would make. Just if we can really put it somewhere that's portable. One idea that I really liked was having it on a pole, but as well as being able to move around depending on the direction of the sun. So we're still hypothesizing with that.
Yeah, Omar, I want to pick up on something that you said there, which was that there's the potential to make it portable. And something that makes that kind of that sparked an idea was that maybe there's an application for thinking about off-grid applications. So are there places that aren't currently served by the electric grid that might benefit this? Maybe it's a water pump at a community garden that needs to get water up a hill. Maybe or a fan or something of this nature, where you could deploy this in a way that is portable and that might not have some of the challenges that a residential home might have. So I think as you continue to think about what might be the best applications, would encourage you to think about maybe going off the grid a little bit. And you may find some good places to deploy this.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I think that's a really good example of trying to find an opportunity for this where it's most needed as well. And I'm curious if, for Chris or Richard, if there's any other kind of roadblocks that you could see coming for a project like this that they should be considering now in this kind of stage of thinking, if anything else comes to mind.
Matthew, one thing I was thinking was that, and the reason I sort of directed them towards the Sandia National Labs, is that that research, which went on for decades, uncovered a number of working media, sometimes fluids, but real liquids, but other times just gases, because they diffuse more quickly, and so they get this rotation frequency up. I just think that Chris is right on there. I mean, in scaling up, it would be wonderful if you could be aiming for 5 watts instead of 5 kilowatts, and there are things that you can accomplish with these sort of lower power energy generators that I think would really keep the whole project moving. These things take time. But again, I think that the demonstration video that they produced right in the end is just a wonderful way to sort of wrap up this level of sort of ideation and really just putting together something by the seat of your pants and seeing it sort of work. And the team called it out. I mean, they get it going manually, but then it took off on its own just when they said, "Oh, there it goes," and I could see exactly what they were talking about. So, congratulations on that. And I think if we begin to look for small, 5-watt applications as opposed to 5 kilowatt and intermediate applications. That is great because there are a lot of people who are essentially off the grid or not on a reliable grid who would love to be operating some farm equipment or other sort of minor power requirements. And this is perfect because you always have the sun. Well, usually have access to sun, certainly in Southern California. And you just become self-sufficient very quickly on certain applications. So I think this is exciting, and I think the scaling up process is going to be really even more exciting than the beginning of the project.
That's great. Thank you so much, Richard. And then Chris, I wanted to throw it to you to talk a little bit about, again, any kind of challenges or barriers that you could see, or, what would it look like if this was successful? Right? Like what kind of impact maybe could this have? It'd be great to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think Omar spoke to some of the challenges, right? So there's unknown quantum of noise, of heat. These are things that have to be addressed as the engineering evolves for this concept. But I think there are some really compelling aspects, and one of them, I mean, Richard spoke that, like, it's really exciting to see an engine move, right? And I think many people think of engines as being fossil fuel powered, but they don't have to be. And here we have an example of a piston turning a shaft with mechanical energy and with a renewable source. It's just really, really compelling, and I think introduces people to energy in a totally novel way. So I think the educational aspect is really strong. I also think that by harnessing solar energy in this way, it's through metals that we're familiar with, right? You mentioned stainless steel. You have a glass tube. These are things that are, durable, repairable. It's not like, a solar voltaic panel, which when it's defunct, it's not like something that anybody can just go and repair. So I really like that this is the durability, repairability of this, and particularly for those off-grid applications, so that if when the time does come for maintenance, it can be handled right on site. So I think those are some of the really, really strong aspects. I think there may be some other Pando projects where there might be collaboration opportunity as well. So that'll be interesting to explore, I think, particularly as Pando Days evolves. And yeah, I really appreciate the concept here. I think, and it's just so exciting to see.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Richard, as well, for all of your insights and feedback throughout. This is such a fun and exciting project, as you can see just from even the tone of our reviewers here. I think it's a really great reminder that there is just always an alternative. And you're actually showing us this as well, which is incredibly inspiring. Lynn, did you want to throw something in?
Yes, I would just like to say that I had the opportunity of meeting with all the students involved with this, and they're tremendous. And I just want to point out to everyone, this is a club. This is not a class. These are all passionate students volunteering their time and their creativity to make it. And, I just feel it's a very impressive group, and I want to thank them.
Thank you, Lynn. I think that's such an important detail of the passion that's brought together with this project. It comes through that you all are really excited about this, as we are too. So can't wait to see where this goes next. And as you already heard from Chris, maybe this can plug into other things that are going on as well. So thank you so much again to the reviewers, to the Citrus College Pando team. Really, really amazing work. That's all that we have prepared for today. But at this point in the schedule of the premiere, we've seen 3 of 16 projects that were developed for this 2023 season. And we've got 13 more to go, stretching into next week. So at 2:00 tomorrow in the afternoon, hopefully you can tune in for the Cal Arts presentation. Back at 6 p.m. then also for the Pierce College, and then followed by Cal State Northridge at 6:30. So that's going to be a big day. And thank you again, everybody, all the students, faculty, reviewers, all the Pando folks for making this a big success. Really appreciate your time and creative thinking. And again, reminders that there's alternatives to everything. I love it. Thank you, everybody.